back, and this has nothing to do with Harriet or Martin Vanger from Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. We're throwing chairs at Vangers, developed by Katie Lab. It's an STL2 game. This is actually kind of cool because this was like a Windows game from 1998 that they completely rewrote with STL2 and using their old C++ engine. And so it's a native port now. It's kind of neat. It'll net you about $8.99 of wet stinky moon caches or US dollars. And what do they call it? This is wow. Their website is univang.com. That's I just noticed that. Go to univang.com, ladies and gentlemen. So what is this game? Mind-altering sandbox game that can be described as a racing role-playing adventure game with a complicated storyline. We will get into that in more detail. But of course we have our chair squisition that Ben will show right now. 1 chair means that it's shit, 2 chairs means it's meh, 3 chairs means it's alright, pretty good, and 4 chairs means that Pedro will not stop talking about it, as you will see later on in the episode. We also have our categories: Doom, mixed with the working, shiny and sounds, controls, and fun. All that is fairly self-explanatory. So let's dive into the product of Univang, Vangers. So Ben, did it make with the working?
Did it make with the working? Now, before we even get started, the only reason is, P-Man talked to our friends in former Soviet Russia, and they're like, oh, here's 3 good keys, comrade. Make much use of them. And we've been sitting on them for a while, and it's like, yeah, because initially we said billions of years ago, and then it's like, maybe it's probably a DOS-box game or something like that. Then I got reading in the 4 Morgans over there. I'm like, no, we've been porting this to STL and all that. I mean, it's actually a native Linux port with a brilliant resolution that we'll talk about later. That made me curious. So I put the keys on, and I was like, boom, fire it up. And what did I find? How did it work on our Ubuntu 12.04 minimum test system of fuck all? Still, really? Can developers change that to something else? I don't even care if it's Arch. 770 powered graphics system of business. Ran with the 4 chairs. J-Man.
Yeah, on my Fedora 64-bit powered AMD 1090T NVIDIA 670 superclocked. Works out of the box, and on the machine I played this mostly on my AMD A10 5800K APU system, also running Fedora 2064-bit, worked out of the box. So that means it gets 4 chairs for mixed with the working. Pedro?
Yep. Actually, if you look at their Linux page, it says on the OS 32 or 64-bit Ubuntu over 1204 or the latest Gen 2. Oh, yeah. But yeah, on my end, using Aurora 20 32-bit and on Ubuntu 1404 LTS, it ran out of the box and no problems whatsoever, even with the open source drivers. So they got that right because they claim that it works on the open source drivers in the Steam page. So 4 chairs.
4 whole chairs from makes the working, and now it goes downhill. Shiny and sounds, Ben. Suck it to me, baby.
Sweetness. Let's just take a look at this video. Shiny and sounds. Well, it's shiny and it sounds. But yeah, this is kind of where it starts falling apart. This was, I'm guessing, stop motion animation way back in the DOS ages. When was this? 1998 when this came out? 98. The first thing that hits your eye, pussies, is the green-on-green menu that I had to, stare at. I almost took out, my 3D glasses from Trackmania. And I was like, oh, is this a thing or something? Where's the menu? And I was like, oh, there it is. This is basically fuck you if you're colorblind, which I'm not. But man, that's cruel. Figured that lot out. Get to playing it. It does some neat shit, though. I mean, seriously, for that time, when I realized that you could change your camera angle and actually go into a parallax, get different views with that tech, I was like, That's fucking awesome. But it's 98. They are working on an HD remake, which I'm sure is going to blow my brain apart. And it does have sounds, but man, I muted that so quick because it's the same sound. I mean, it's like that one looping soundtrack. And I was like, no, put on some Slayer, as is tradition. And I'm not hating on it because it's from 1998 with 1998 graphics. No. I'm hating on it because it's released in 2014 with a price tag that's a bit high, but we'll get into that just a bit later. So, for Shiny and Sounds, I'll give it a very fair 2 chairs, which is a meh. It's not rage.
Meh.
J-Man.
So, like Ven said, this game is over 10 years old, and I can't really fault it for being a game that's over 10 years old with appropriate graphics at the time. Presented in 800 by 600, the only way it's meant to be played. Hard locked at 24 frames per second.
20.
So that your hardware doesn't 20 frames per second, so that your hardware doesn't explode at the mere sight of this game. That being said, ow, my fucking eyes. Jeez, this thing is very, very difficult to look at. I mean, like I said, like Ven said, like the camera thing is actually pretty cool. Like when you have like the full movement and whatnot, it's actually pretty impressive for something that came out in 1998. But dear lord, this game is fucking ugly as shit. I can't look at it for more than 5 minutes without wanting to stab my eyes out with a pair of chopsticks. As for the sounds, yeah, what Ven said for Slayer, I will say for Nightfall in Middle-earth by Blind Guardian. So I'm gonna give this 2 chairs for Shiny and Sounds.
Okay. Let's whip up that wrench and start throwing them. The graphics don't hold up. It's 1998 level of graphics does not hold up. Even in 2014. The dev, like Ven said, the dev says there's an HD texture version coming out soon, which also supports 60 frames per second and more resolutions besides 800 by 600.
Pedro, don't you understand the human eye can only see 30 frames per second? Yellow, Expo.
No, it cannot. You can tell the difference between 30 and 60 any day of the week. But yeah, the game currently runs at 800 by 600, a window, that's it. You can change it to full screen if you want, but I wouldn't recommend it. And 20 frames per second. 20.
Well,
Now,
it's just so graphically intense, your hardware will explode.
Yeah, apparently. But I will have to disagree with both Ven and Jordan because I love
Or deaf.
I love the background music. I love it. It's amazing. And as soon as I fired up the game, I started listening to the menu's background music. I'm like, oh shit. Nostalgia lane, here I go. 3 chairs.
And so, because Pedro's opinion has no bearing here, 2 chairs for Shiny and Sounds. Coming up next is Control. Ben, how did this game control for you?
Well, comrade,
yeah.
control very difficult for driving game. No, seriously. I had fuck all idea this thing even supported a controller. I mean, you would think, after reading, it's like, oh, they ported it with SDL. And I was like, yeah, there's a good chance. And I was like, no. Get ready to get off my lawn. Our controllers, in my day, plugged in your fuck mothering sound card. So,
Yep.
I was like, they probably didn't even bother with that. You get the controls, and honestly, I was just playing it, no wireless gerbil, no wired gerbil, just with the keyboard, derping about and wondering, fuck all hell I'm doing. So, yeah, I mean, control is not obvious because you don't know there's no manual, there's nothing like that. And being limited to 20 frames per second, 800 by 600, I tried to blow that business up in the full screen, and that didn't help it matters at all. Menus work if you're not colorblind, again. The cars move, but I don't understand the point of obstacles because you can basically just run into them and just keep going, and eventually it'll twitch its way over it. Firing and all that. Ah. Ah. Ah.
Ah,
Two chairs.
Helm.
I like these guys, and I'm waiting on the remake, is all I'm going to say. J-Man.
so I have to preface this by saying one chair means that the controls outright don't work.
Indeed.
So I can't say that it doesn't work. I tried it with my Xbox controller. I have a whole panoply of Xbox controllers these days, so I test all these games with the various kinds. This game doesn't recognize the trigger buttons on the Xbox controller, which is kind of shitty considering there are a lot of controls for this game, more so than will fit on your standard DualShock style controller. In
No,
addition,
it's
you actually have to
exactly the right amount to fit.
I don't believe that for a second, because, and again, you could maybe get away with using the D-pad for some controls, but the analog sticks just don't plain work. But as I was saying, you have to assign the controls; they're not automatically detected. I tried this with the PS3 controller, and I tried this with a Xbox controller. I ended up playing this mostly with the PlayStation 3 controller. The driving is just god awful. Like you gotta like sort of mumble your way and stumble your way, and eventually, if you try hard enough and you're very very lucky, you'll get from point A to point B. While you're killing your hands, like jamming down the up button or the down button, you get knocked over really easily. I don't like the fact that the controller doesn't work on the menus, so you have to switch from mouse to controller and a controller to mouse, which I mean, I did that with Strike Suit Zero, and I was not pleased with it at all. So this is a bit of a nightmare fuel to control. I'm going to give this 2 chairs because 1 chair means that the controls wouldn't work, and I was able to actually finish the first 2 missions. So
There's that.
there's that.
Yeah, I get a bit farther in the game. I'm actually at the midpoint.
What are you
of
like
the
8
second
hours in or
world.
something? That's what your Steam page said.
What?
Yeah,
I
8
have
hours in.
6 or 7 hours ish.
Jordan, to him,
But
that
yeah.
doesn't seem like an incredible amount.
But anyways, go on.
It's a game from 1998, and when I went to the options menu and started setting up things to work with my controller, it recognizes my PS2 DualShock exactly as I have it set up on Steam. If you go to the Steam Big Picture mode and set up your controller, it detected it perfectly. It's at that point where it's easy to tell when devs use SDL properly with their games in it. And like Jordan said, you still need the mouse to navigate through the menus and the conversations and the store and all that. And as much as I love driving the Oxidize Monk around, that overlap of mouse and controller, it doesn't sit well with me. But the controllers, for what they are, they work. There's only that teeny tiny snafu, so I'm gonna have to give it 3 chairs.
Okay, and once again, Pedro's opinion has no bearing on the overall score as we get 2 chairs for controls. And finally, our subjective category, fun. Then, did you enjoy yourself?
I did, but then I played this game.
Ah!
What I did there. See it? Zing.
Masturbation jokes.
Wow. As soon as I fired this up, Pedro broke the cardinal rule of, oh, look, Ven's playing a game. Let's send him a message because he's playing a game. Don't want to break that fuck-mothering experience, do we? Right. But his information actually, was relevant. He was like, don't even think about playing this without a guide. It's not cheating.
What I said was,
I
there's
don't
no
care
shame in
what
looking
you
up
said. Those are
FAQ.
facts, and facts have no place in L.G.C. So, I was like, all right, fine. I'll play this. And after a solid 20 minutes of like, I will not be defeated, I was still in permanent fuck all. What am I doing here? All right, I click on this. And, oh, look, I can drive. Neat. Because the car's kind of hidden when you first start. And you got a menu and you're like clicking on this random green on green 800 by 600, tile. And then I hit the key and I was like, oh, car there. There's the thing. All right. There's a mission. Camera options, compass options. The fuck all am I supposed to be doing? After about 100 minutes into the game, there was that desperation. I was like, maybe if I understood something about what I was supposed to be trying to accomplish, I would have a better experience. So I went to the Googs, and I was like, Googs, Vangers. He was like, do you mean anal rangers? And I was like, no, that was last week when I was like, you naughty thing. Finally tracked out. It's very difficult to even find a guide for this game because it's made billions of years ago in the future's past. It was a bit of a text thing, and I was like, nope. So, for fun, like I said, looking forward to that HD remake because maybe there'll be some logical sense in it. No, one chair. I mean, no, on this one. J-Man.
So I played this game for about an hour. It took me multiple sittings to make it to an hour, and I was ultimately able to get to the second mission and finish that. Yeah, it takes you a good long fucking while to figure out what you need to do. I decided to not cheat and not use a walkthrough. And eventually, after about 30 minutes of fucking around, I was able to get my bearings. I'm like, okay, these menus make absolutely zero sense, but after cocking around enough, I understand what these buttons are supposed to do. No, and there's random buttons that don't actually do anything too. It's great. So I drove around. It's an interesting game. Maybe if I were in a different mind frame, maybe if I played this back in 1998, I would have a different opinion of it. But I'm playing this now as 25-year-old adult Jordan, and yeah, it doesn't really do much for me. I appreciate the work that went into it, given the technical limitations of the time, but it's not my kind of game. The animation is really, really jarring. The controls are really, really, really stupid. It's not very clear what you need to do. I get that it's supposed to be all abstract and indie and shit, but it's not doing it for me. So I'm gonna have to give this as well one chair on the fun section. And now for Pedro to make it seem like this game might actually stand a chance and only to be quelled.
Well, like I told Ven when he started playing the game, there's absolutely no shame in looking up the FAQ if you actually want to give this a proper go. None. You're probably going to have to do a lot of reading.
I was elected to lead, not to read.
The dev, I was in a bit of a back and forth with the dev regarding the port and what he's been doing with it, and he actually said that they're trying to get the manual on Steam, but they have to sort out the depots first. But if you should get the manual, it's available on their website. There will be a link in the show notes for it. When it comes to the game itself, the background music to me is awesome. What they tried to do in 1998 was create an open world driving RPG game, and they succeeded. It's a bit flaky. It's a bit iffy, but it's better than most open world games coming out for Linux nowadays, namely the 3079, 3089 series.
No, we still have Earth.
Yes.
Welcome to Earth.
And okay, I will give you guys the fact that it's very outdated in the graphics department. It is, and the multiplayer option was IPX multiplayer, and it had to be taken out. The dev says he'll reintroduce it when he can figure out a way to do it properly nowadays. So we'll be looking forward to that. And I guess when it comes down to it, when the monk stops oxidizing, I'm going to have to give it 3 chairs because for the fun, that's what it gave me. And I'm going to keep on playing it.
You do that. So that tallies up to 1 chair in the fun department. Again, Pedro's score has no bearing on what happens. Because remember, in a triumvirate, 2 are trying to kill 1 guy. That was a very
So that was a very butchered
Roman quote. Final score, 2 chairs. If we go back to our chair explanation, tells you not sure if want. If you're of Pedro's mindset, this game may appeal to you, but if you're of Venom mindset, stay away.
My biggest issue with it, I'm looking
thoughts.
at it, what they're doing is basically funding an HD remake at $8.99, $9.99. No. I'm sorry, I love what these guys are behind Hammer Fight. You remember, wish I had a bigger desktop for my gerbil simulator.
Yeah.
So they're good with the Linux, they're good with the SDL. I like what they're doing, but at £9 a pop to help finance something that may or may not get published. I'm not going to say this is more like a morbid curiosity buy. This isn't something that you should buy expecting to have a gay old time. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But at the end of the day, take that shot. This is 800 by 600. That's all you're going to get. No widescreen support. Quasi-controller support sometimes if you're lucky on a random Tuesday. And fuck all idea what you're doing. The Game 2014 from 1998. Because that made
Starring
sense
Nicolas
before
Cage.
I said it. Space ass.
Yeah, I said my bit about it. Pedro, any final thoughts?
Yeah, if you're one of those people that plays games but doesn't particularly enjoy reading what's showing up on screen, don't play this game. You're not going to have a very good time as Jordan and Ven.
I read what's going on the screen, and I still had fuck all idea what was happening.
Yeah, it's not a very friendly or intuitive game for that matter.
It's obtuse. That's the word.
Yep. Obtuse. It's old. It's outdated when it comes to the graphics. And like Ven and Jordan proved, not everyone's going to like that background music. So the two chairs are fair because I enjoyed it. I liked the game. I do. But these two heathens didn't, so